Well, it's good to see you here. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for taking time this afternoon to join us for panel discussion of mobile end-to-end. And let me start by introducing myself. I'm Joseph Sogge, Vice President of Entisys Solutions, a sponsor and advisory board member of this conference. And my colleague, Greg Kiefer, also a sponsor of the event, advisory board member. And many of you probably recognize him, or at least by name, if not by face, having worked with him. He's been supporting IT strategies in the state of California, across the state, for many years. So I'm glad to have teamed with him in supporting this event. Joining us are a distinguished panel of IT leaders from state and local government, and I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. But I want to start off by talking a little bit about, just very little bit about the focus of today's panel discussion. It's going to be an exploration of a new conversation that we're seeing around mobility and its transformational impact on the world as a whole, but especially on the delivery of government information and services. So we've got a panel here who's going to talk about this topic from their personal experiences, the perspectives that they have, case studies around their implementation of these solutions. But more importantly, and in response to a question asked by a family member who drove me here today, who asked, what are you doing down here at the convention center? And I simply said, well, I'm going to attempt to moderate a panel discussion chaired by 4 technology leaders in state government who, by association, are going to make me look very good. So let me introduce those folks to you now. The first is Townsend. Ann serves as Administrative Services Programmer Analyst for Tulare County's Information and Communication Technology Department. Michele Ames is Branch Chief of the California Department of Motor Vehicles Publishing and Online Information Branch. Scott Paterson. Scott's Deputy Director of the California Department of Technology's Enterprise Solutions Division. And Jay Song. Jay serves as Chief Technology Officer for the California Department of Highway Patrol. So one more word about today's format. It's very simple. We have prepared a list of questions I'm going to ask the panelists. They'll each have an opportunity to respond to the questions. But it's not that this is scripted. This is only done to provide a framework for conversation. And I and the panel encourage you to interact with them during the course of this. It's not just us, reiterating or speaking to you. We really encourage bi-directional communication throughout this. So, having said that, I'm going to start with the first question. And this first question, actually, I have a miss. These are our panelists. First question, and I'm going to ask first to Scott Paterson. Scott, what is this new conversation that needs to take place regarding building mobile solutions to support an agency's business needs? And how has this conversation changed over time? Finally, are demographics now a factor in this new conversation as well?
So I think it's cool that this is my 3rd year coming to these mobile events. I think we've almost gotten to the point now to where the conversation isn't new anymore. People are actually realizing that this isn't just a flash in the pan or a fad, and that mobile access to services and information is more of a must at this point, driven by the public. Our traffic from the public to ca.gov mobile websites is now 35 to 40%, which has grown 8% year over year over the last 3. So I think it's very important now that people are actually realizing the importance, the need, and what the public really wants from government. I'd just like to stress that as we move towards this direction, that your executive staff or your business side to get them engaged if they're not already. It's not that they've missed the train, but the train is moving. So it's almost a point now to where you've got to be thinking mobile first, which doesn't necessarily mean I've got to develop an app for everything, but you've got to be looking at it from an enterprise level, and that mobile access to your websites and your data and information needs to be considered. So that's just one of the points I'd like to make.
All right, thank you, Scott. So Ann, I'm going to ask the same questions of you. Would you like me to repeat them, or do you remember?
I think we're good.
Okay.
I'll take up the time some other way. I'm a little odd when it comes to government. I have a master's in business administration, management of MIS, which is information systems, and I was the former CEO of a startup. I've been a general partner, and I've been a sole proprietor. So my background is completely in technology, and it has been since 1984. And so when I look at whether it's government or anything else, I'm looking at it very much from a business standpoint. And thankfully, and probably the reason why I'm still employed by the County of Tulare is that so does my management. They encourage us to look at it from an entrepreneurial point of view. So how can we do better with what we have? And though we're an internal service fund agency, which means that all of our money comes from the other county departments, we still have to figure out how to work with today and make sure that we're not keeping our feet in yesterday. So when we decided to look at mobile, we said, well, how does private industry view it? What information are they getting? And how is it driving them? And how do they know that it's a driver? And so then we looked at their statistics. We looked at their percentages, and we said, where is the world going? So from a demographic point of view, the world is spending approximately 10 hours a day on the internet in one shape or another. From which device point of view, it depends if you're looking at the device or if you're looking at the operating system as to which is more important or more popular, depending on who your audience is. And then we decided we needed to look at it from another point of view also, which is, what is the demographic of the people that you serve? We serve our departments, their internal customers, but ultimately we serve the taxpayers. So they're our consumers, and they're everyday people, and more, that's what they do, is mobile. So we need to look at how do they use mobile, what do they use it for, and how can we leverage whatever their daily activities are so that we can better serve them. And then in the case of the workers, what is their job? How do they look at it? How do they consider things? What are their priorities? I'm basically reiterating things that I've heard today, throughout the day, by different people and different professionals who are all vendors to our government agencies. So we still have to look at it that exact same way.
All right, thank you, Ann. Any comments or questions for Ann or Scott on this first point?
Just as a quick follow-up, you brought up demographics, and I didn't address that, and that's a great topic, because we've found that now the way that people access the internet now has gone by a demographic. So there's the underserved that don't have the access maybe to their home because they don't either have the service provided or they can't afford it. But everybody seems to be moving towards their mobile device, whether it be a smartphone or tablet, pick your toy. But so yeah, that is a huge driving factor, and especially in certain areas and regions.
All right, thank you,
If
Scott.
I could add to that as well, DMV has multiple demographics, and we do notice that there's an age group between the ages of 18 to 29 that it's an expectation for them to go onto our web and have a mobile view. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you. I see some heads nodding up and down, a few. So it seems like there's a common thread here, one with which you can relate. So Michele, Next question is for you. Describe where you've seen mobile applications work for government and what made this undertaking successful.
Okay, this gives me an opportunity to kind of brag about my own agency, Department of Motor Vehicles. We saw a shift in how customers wanted to conduct business. So in 2010, we launched DMV Now, a native application to Android and Apple. It was developed in-house by developers that wanted to become familiar with native applications. So DMV Now included exams, sample tests, videos, and field office locators. So it was kind of a way for us to promote also our core mission to traffic safety as well. So I'm going to brag a little more. So we will reach over 1 million downloads in iOS and Android this month, and we won Best of California in 2011 for that application. So we have continued over the years to create mobile applications. Field office appointment was promoted into DMV Now in 2011, and then in 2013 we got the push to create our most popular web application, which is vehicle registration as a web app. This was a little different. It had more of a responsive design, and we promoted that into DMV Now. Since this undertaking, how has it become successful, and how do we know it was successful? Well, we know that over 40% of our customers come in through a mobile device. And also, we keep the end user in mind. We want our applications to be intuitive and easy to use.
Oh, thank you, Michele. So, Jay, you're not off the hook. What's CHP's response to that question?
Well, CHP probably is the largest mobile government in the state, maybe in the country. Everything we do is mobile. When you see more than 3,000 cars on the road all the time, they are all mobile. The one thing different is the CHP Mobile is primarily for law enforcement. And the technology was built by specialized vendors, but we are at a kind of a turning point. That's the old way to do business. We don't have to pay huge price for the feature which can provide by this iPhone. So we are in the transition period of time, and also the point to move from those bulky side node old technology, mobile technology, to the newer one, and that's where our opportunity, also our challenge are. And as Scott said, the train already moving. We have no choice, but we just need to adapt the technology. And also, people right now don't really care if the agency, you have a physical location or not. They only care if you have something in their hand, right? So this morning, the California Business Portal demonstrate all the business owners say they do everything on the phone. And so this probably will be future for CHP officers. They're going to do everything mobile in their hand. So it's good technology. I would say it will improve substantially our efficiency and also public safety service delivery.
Yeah. I know this is not a scripted question, but do you find that there are some applications, business applications, that lend themselves more to mobility than others? I'm thinking of your 911 computer-aided dispatch system out in the cars in the field. That'd be kind of difficult, maybe, to apply to a mobile device.
Yeah, well, when you ask this question, it looks like you understand CHP, not just how we patrol. We are also responsible statewide 911 communication center. We have 22 communication center handle statewide 911. When you make a 911 call, CHP will always be the first one you talk to. Then CHP, based on your location, dispatch it to appropriate fire station or police department. So 911 is another system we badly needed to upgrade, and because nowadays the millennial, sometimes they don't want to call 911, they want to text 911. How do you do that? Yes, there is no technology there enable us to do it. Sometimes you might not have an actuary to call. You may just hit an emergency button that's translated to 911 call. So we are doing that. So that's part of another mobile technology we are currently in the initiation process.
Well, also, too, I mean, the technology for radio frequency use for internet has been around for a while, at least for the last 10 years. I used it in my business when I was running my general partnership, and it is, if it's not identical, it might be a special frequency, in particular for law enforcement. I know we have a special frequency in Tulare County, but it can transmit information through port 80 just like anything else. So as long as, you know, and it has a broader reception because of they have to have it in all parts of even the most remotest parts of Tulare County, which is the largest county in California. So they can use the same technology that we use for regular web in their vehicles or in their handheld devices and be in complete remote areas. So it can be done.
That's absolutely good point. That's another piece of the CHP. We have so many technology. Radio over IP is another big initiative we have right now. When you see CHP police, what do you see? They have guns, then have a radio. The radio right now can do same as a computer. They can transmit the data. In the future, you can just text them over radio. Radio is much easier. The receiving is much better. So that's another potential communication for CHP, because we are piloting some latest technology, use radio to transmit the data.
All right. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Ann. Any comments or questions from the audience? Yes.
In regards to the workforce and speaking to the 911 call center, do you see the mobile, if we was permitted, will allow your agents, if they're not already, to telecommute more or easier than to have a building where you house all your agents?
For 911 call mobile, it is one of the solutions. Most of the 911 call center is pretty much fixed in one location. You cannot easily move. The upgraded 911 system will be portable. Basically, everything set over there, you get to go, you can move to another location. So we have a mobile command center, mobile 911, that will all encompass with different wireless and internet connection capability. But to enable telework, to have them work from home, answer 911, probably not a short period of time. I heard some other department, their help desk already in everyone's home. So the help desk is receive call at home, they save the traffic commute, and it's no problem. But for public safety, we might be able to do that, but the public perception might not be that good because they want you to be in real command center to conduct business. So it's good direction probably in the future. That way you can probably spread out more response personnel and fast responses, but right now we have not kind of moved to that direction.
That's a very good point about public perception.
Exactly.
And a very good question. Thank you for that. The third question, Scott, back to you. How have mobile applications changed the way in which your agency delivers services to your constituents?
So I have an example of an app that we built that we're actually have a display of. That's why our California Mobile Gallery looks like a jungle. The California Department of Food and Ag put up a couple years ago an app called Report a Pest. And what this app does is it's device specific, so it can use all the functionality of the device. But what the app does is it allows the public, it's using citizens as sensors basically, and it allows the public to use their device if they see an insect or a plant that they think is invasive to that area, or they just don't know what it is. They can now take a picture of that, submit their information if they want to be contacted, but submit the picture. that gives the XY coordinates of where they've taken that picture. So it gets sent to Department of Food and Ag, and the scientist is actually able to look at this now picture of whatever the insect or the plant is, without having to have it mailed in a moldy bug in an envelope being smashed through snail mail. So what it's done, though, is it's really kind of done a whole business re-engineer process for them, in that they now don't have to send a scientist out there, in 1 in 50, and I use that as an example, but now they tell me that they now only have to send somebody generally out in the field for 1 in every 100 reports. So it's drastically changed their travel and their business process. So that's always one of my favorite, but I like CHP and DMV. We have analytics built behind the mobile gallery, and they're always within our most popular. So we have live traffic and accidents, and it's a godsend if you're out there in traffic, so you can actually have your passenger, you can't do that while you're driving, have your passenger check that to avoid traffic. So I mean, you could almost say it's saving resources, it's saving time, it's saving gas pollution, everything. And then DMV, also DMV Now, and we also have another, always in the top. So they're always in our most popular. And then generally by season, I mean, Farmers Market Finder is always up there, or God help us, CAL FIRE was very popular and on top last year. So these apps are designed to get the information or services out to the public, and they've been a huge success. And out to Tulare County, we've just added local governments, a category for local governments in the mobile gallery. So now if you click on that, we have an area for the cities, counties, local governments to display their apps also. So it gives them another mobile gallery, another way to display your apps out to the public, and it's open to everybody now. We just had Ventura come on.
To speak to that also, actually, Ventura County, we've been chasing them for a couple of years. I'm like, you see what they're doing, guys? We need to do that. That pothole thing, very good idea. But also with CISDA, which is the California Counties Association of the top level management, we're working right now across all the counties in California to actually build apps together and share them and share data, which will be, as far as I can tell, pretty unique across the country. And at some point, we will be leveraging California CalCloud, CalNet 3, and Mobile One, because why not leverage things that are already in place? Why reinvent the wheel, And on top of that, taxpayer money is then better shaped.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Scott, you made several references to DMV, and I think you alluded to it here. So, Michele, you've cited several applications developed. Are there others that the DMV has developed? But maybe more importantly, how have they changed the way you've delivered services to your customers?
Well, we do look to other agencies and industries to determine how they're delivering services and then to adopt those practices. So we're moving towards a develop once, deploy to many environments, a responsive design. We're also moving towards a CA.gov template for responsive web. However, we know that's going to take some cleanup on our side. We kind of had a halt in 2014 when AB 60 was deployed. All of our focus was on deploying that particular bill. So we're getting back into the mobile game, and we're starting to develop a strategic direction based on customer need. We're providing real-time sensory information in DMV now. It has field office locator, and it has wait times with GPS navigation. So that's some of the new things we've deployed, and we hope to have, like I said, more of a responsive design and get that demographic between the 18 and 29 over to our mobile sites.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes.
So in general, how are people finding the apps? Are they through organically through the App Store? Are they going to the gallery, through the website?
I think it's both through the gallery and through the App Store. I can tell you, we did not market DMV Now. We had no marketing budget. So it was simply just a banner across our website and a press release. So as I said, we will surpass 1 million downloads this month. So it's been very popular without marketing.
So I must say, you went one step farther, though, and that at least you had it on your landing page. We're generally, and we're not unique to the counties or the cities, right? So we develop these apps, we put them out, we think they're real cool. Some do them to check off the checkbox, now we've got something mobile, right? But they don't even put them on their splash page when people are hitting it. So really the driving force behind the mobile gallery itself is just for that reason. Let's see, if you've got it out, let's have one single point of contact for the public to go to where they can find these. And in the way we have it designed now, through the search function, we have metadata attached to each one of these, each one of the apps. They're all crawlable. The search engine optimization's been established, so they can Google just a certain app even. So if they go to the mobile gallery, if it's not in featured most popular or most recent, you can go into the search, or you can go into categories. There's health and safety, there's employment, business, things like that, or just search for it. Because we've tried to make into the descriptions enough information for them to, which turns into the metadata, for them to type anything in and it should bring up that app. Additionally, what you can do, which was a big selling feature for the departments and agencies, is through the metadata, we can also have partition, so to speak. So if I put in healthcare services and just those words in there, or DHCS, it'll actually bring up all their apps. So in essence, they've almost got their own little partition on the mobile gallery. They can say, look, go to mobile gallery, type in DHCS or healthcare services, you'll get all of our apps. And it works that way for all of them. So it's been really, really unique and kind of cool.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. So, Ann, I'm going to come back to you with the next question. I know that many out here probably have already begun, if not have developed, a number of mobile applications. But if you look back on your first mobile app development effort, what would you say?
Please don't look at my code. The first thing I would say is, please don't look at my code.
Okay, so that's your biggest challenge. Or I was going to ask, what would you, in hindsight, what was your biggest hurdle? And how did that hurdle or following ones affect your mobile application development strategies?
With my experience, it was kind of an awkward trip and fall into it kind of thing. I've been handling financial applications since 2001, including through Fresno Unified School District and then through the County of Tulare. And I had been doing that, and I was brought on board as, even though I had used Perl and used object-oriented programming in Perl and gone to school and had learned all of these really neat things about logic and database administration, I was coding in DOS, scripting, because that's what they need me to do. And so I was really using my brain mostly for the support of this financial application, because we kind of got into a bad situation. We had 2 FTEs supporting something that we were also paying $125,000 a year for support for. And when we got to the second upgrade in 2008, my director said, we might be in a lot of businesses, but it's not supporting their application. So we increased our support dollars to them and said, no, you really will support your own application now. So, Ann, what are we going to do with you? How about mobile? And so they started training me, and that's how I got started with it. But I think the thing that was a little hard for almost everybody, because we're talking 2008, I didn't actually get my first smartphone until 2009, because I'm not a first entry-level adopter kind of person. I let everybody else kind of experience all the headaches before I get there. So it took a bit of change in me, even though I haven't been in government that long. I don't buy into the idea of, well, that's how it's done here. It's always been done here. I don't buy into it'll be there tomorrow. So I think mostly the hurdle was internal, but it wasn't just me. It was kind of everybody, and we had to make some personal growth adjustments so that we could move forward and actually catch up, and we're still not there. A lot having to do with the conservativeness of our particular entity. You know, we did really well in 2008. We stayed black when many counties and cities went red or failed completely and declared bankruptcy. We didn't have that problem. We didn't lose a bunch of people to layoffs. So conservativeness has done us very well as far as keeping us stable, but it also keeps our foot in the background in, you know, in the past instead of moving forward. And we're still fighting that because we don't have the push from our community, which is mostly ag, and also older, generally speaking, in Tulare County. That's not as many younger citizens pushing for it, and we don't have the push from internally from agencies because they haven't learned what it can do for them. So that's the hardest thing, and still working. I mean, there's a lot of software I'd like to have that would make my job and be easier, but it would also make what I could create more useful to employees as well as taxpayers. So our hurdles are things that we need to get through, but it's about educating the constituents, it's about educating the agencies, it's about, you know, collaborating and marketing internally in our case, not dollars-wise. We don't spend money to do that, obviously. We send people and we say, go educate, and that's how we market. So it's getting the push that needs to happen. That's been the biggest hurdle.
Thank you, Anna. Scott, I'm going to field the same question to you.
So I think that nobody's unique, that we've all been caught up in developing in yesterday's technologies tomorrow. But what we've tried to do, that was a joke.
Tomorrowland.
Getting late. I know, how we're getting close. But what we tried to do is we're in support of not only just the mobile gallery, but we also support the mobile web template and some tools and training that go along with that through our Web Tools website. So we've never been accused of being bleeding edge of the state, of course. But when it came to mobile, when we started this back in 2009, our mobile gallery was nothing more than a carousel on a web page. But as things picked up and we started getting more and more apps, we decided that it was time to redesign the whole gallery to take in this load and try to get this information out. So in October, we did a total mobile gallery redesign. Like I said, built every app is now basically into its own web page. We've got standard icons, department name, descriptions, like I said, which is basically your metadata that is for searching, and screenshots, for linked screenshots. So it's like your big elephants in the room. They're kind of galleries. And actually, the idea of me doing this came from a speaker that came from San Francisco, City County, San Francisco, and they were starting their mobile gallery. So I don't like to lose. So not that I'm competitive, but I wanted to make ours better, and it is. But that's beyond. I digress. So really, what we wanted to do is like I said, not be on the bleeding edge, but more to try to stay up with the technologies, and that's why we've adopted the mobile web template. It doesn't have all of the functionality as device specific. We know that. Some people think it's plain, but the reason it's done that by design, in that we have over 47 mobile web apps built right now. Device specific, about 39 altogether. The beauty of using the mobile web app, you can get your feet wet with it. You can generally use the resources you already have in-house, your web designers if you have them, because it's in 3 different versions. It's .NET, PHP, and C#, I believe. And usually those people, the departments, have those resources in-house that can do that. Your web developers love learning a new technology and a new toy. So there's not a whole lot of, it's not very resource intensive for support. So it's been very popular, and we've been able to help. I have our whole mobile web initiative is supported by a huge crew of 3 of us. So, and me being the dead weight. So I have some smart guys behind me, of course. I learned a long time, surround yourself with greatness. So in developing the mobile gallery and even just supporting that, it was starting to get overwhelming because we had multiple units that were doing that. Now we brought it all into our unit, and it's worked very well. And like I said, we've also incorporated suggestions. There's suggestions on the splash page. If you have an idea for an app, you want to list your app within the gallery, the public can actually comment through there. And it all comes straight to me, and I reply to each and every one of them. So we're more than happy to help or assist, or if you have questions regarding either the mobile web template or just mobile design in general, we're more than happy to talk with you, because like I said, the mobile template doesn't incorporate everything you may need, but there are a lot of things that it can do, and we'd be more than happy to help you if you had any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? We've got 2. Let's go back here first.
What's your quote for your app?
For mobile web,
For any mobile app in the state?
for the data feed,
For the app itself?
the app itself really is just, all it is your smart device looking at a mobile website, right? So it's looking at a web page. The data behind those, we use as a solution, we use Google Fusion tables generally. It's free, it's easy to use. But like any app or any website, I always say the devil's in the data. So you can get something up living and breathing, but you got to care for it. So your app's only going to be as good as your data is current. So we always push the owners, the data onto the owners. They're the authoritative source. They're the ones that need to keep that data up. So in some cases, I joke and say, build it, we build it and we will run because we get it up. You guys keep it alive. But in other cases, we're more than happy to help.
Good question. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Questions for the panel. Should all state departments follow the same mobile standard solution framework? The reason I ask that because that way, it's considered cost, and instead of being the wheel, and they can go through like our government's committee, mobile duty, and the state, and go through start.
Not that I'm with the state, but I think in general, from an application developer point of view, which sometimes is important, there are times to be independent and reinvent the wheel, and there are times to be really creative and innovative. And in my core, I want to be Superman or Spider-Man or Wonder Woman or whatever it is that, us geeks talk about culturally speaking that makes us happy. But when it comes to government in particular, but not just government, we need to rely on the community as much as possible, because we can get free work from people that don't even work for us, And if we're using templates, maybe those templates need to change a little bit. So, maybe we need to have some of that discussion so they can be more flexible. But absolutely do not try to reinvent the wheel. If there's something already out there, use it as a frame, and then paint inside the frame and paint your picture. But the frame's there for a reason, and we have opposable thumbs. We should think more and do less. What's your opinion, Scott?
Hey, good. I'm glad you asked that. So in a perfect world, yes, you knew I was going to say something, didn't you? So in a perfect world, sure, we should all do the same thing. I'm not that kind of guy. So there is no silver bullet. One size doesn't fit all. And you may think that's kind of weird coming from the state or the Department of Technology, but you know what? It doesn't. So, we have the mobile web template. That's one solution. Something that anybody can use. It's downloadable by anybody in the public. It's up there. If you'd like it, take it, use it. We hope you do. But as far as functionality, it's not going to solve everybody's problem. It's not going to make it doesn't have, you can't submit pictures at this time, it's not voice activated, it doesn't take advantage of the full resources of your devices. So I think that you brought up a great point in that everyone out here is your best resource too. If you see something that's been built already.
Actually, I can't take credit for that. Dr. Darcy Sterling in New York City gave that one to me, so I really got to give her, because this is being recorded. I got to give her the shout out, sorry.
New York City.
Man, not Texas.
So, but anyway, so no, that I would, if there was one solution, that'd be great, but then there'd be no, I say, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Your people, your community is one of your best resources. The DMVs, the CHPs have done a wonderful job and are constantly doing more. But then again, look at the smaller apps. I mean, we can put up a mobile web app for locations, events, things like that within a matter of hours. I mean, all we need to do is get address, geocode, put it in Google Fusion tables, build a front end, and it's up there, right? So I mean, it can be very simple to start out with. And that's a value in that you can show your executive committees too, just how quick it can be done and some of the services it can provide in quickly.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I appreciate that question as well, because it's actually a very good lead into my next question to Jay with respect to sustainability. So Jay, what factors should be considered for an agency's long-term mobile app sustainability strategies?
All right. To answer about this, you don't want to see this, someone stop you. This is a CHP electronic citation device. Look how big it is. This technology you should not choose. It's not sustainable. Everything this, once again, this is iPhone, can easily do. So when you select technology, you really need to look ahead of not a time, ahead of your thinking, and then look around, and don't just buy in with some vendor give you this is the best. You really need to Google it. So technology, sustainability is very important. And also business, when you choose a mobile technology, mobile solution, you need to find a best business case. Because you don't want to find a business which is not very popular or might not be sustainable. Find a low-hanging fruit, a small business function you can implement technology. So sustainability of the business function you want to implement is very important. Technology and also resource, Scott, you just mentioned about resource. You need to find you have available resource in house without substantially contract to other vendor or agency, because you need to find the low-hanging fruit, because there might be a best solution there, but you don't have anyone understand, you don't have the skill set, and you got to invest huge amount of money before you know if it's working. That's not good. So find some technology will fit your current skill set, your capability. Go from there. Don't try to big bang. I would say download the mobile template first, play around, then go from there. So that's probably 3 perspectives.
All right, thank you, Jay. We are fast approaching the cutoff time for the discussion, we did have a couple questions left. I'm going to jump to the next one, just for the sake of time. And we're going to start with you on this one.
Okay. My answer was so good to that last one, though.
Darn it.
I know. I mean, it was my MBA. I was just like laying it on the table for you.
That is your invitation to come up and talk with Ann afterwards. In fact, all of the panelists, they've got a wealth of information, insights, and experiences that they'd be more than happy to share with you. But the next question, Ann, has to do with recruitment. In a time when we've got such a hot market around app development, how do you recruit for the talent? And more importantly, perhaps retain that talent once you have them on board?
I've been really fortunate that for whatever reason, they put me on big committees like the entire county's business plan and strategic plan writing and stuff like that. They also put me in interview rooms and have me interview candidates. So I'm actually fairly familiar with this process, even though I was only hired once by a government. We have particular thing with our HR department, they very much limit us as far as where we can advertise. So part of it is getting and attracting those people, even though we get paid really well, and I don't want, this is, you know, it comes off really bad, but because we're taxpayer paid, our department, and I know it sounds like almost everybody does this all the time, that they promote their own department and say how wonderful it is. We have people, I'm not the only one that has owned my own business and has a high degree and has been to many years of school and many years of training. In our particular department, we really have a lot of people like that, and our management has all come from private industry, so we run like a corporation even though we're government. So we want to put it on hot jobs, and we want to put it on, you know, on DICE and in places that we know geeks look, because we were looking there, and then we happened to fall upon this one that happened to be in the Fresno Bee this one time, you know, and it was like a fluke that we ever found the job in the first place in some cases. We also, as far as hiring, one of the things is that obviously, since we're government, but not just because we're government, but because it's the right thing to do, we're really careful about trying to be as blind as possible when we're doing our hiring. So we don't exclude people or cause the result of disparate treatment while we're hiring. It doesn't matter, therefore, if you are of an age of maturity, but you still understand modern concepts when we're interviewing you, we will hire you, because that's what matters. And on top of that, that experience you have to get to that point, and you went through the process of actually gaining new information, that makes you pretty valuable. At the same time, when we balanced those people and we said who has the best qualifications and what do they have that will most benefit us, and how do they do on this questionnaire and on this particular activity test and on this, that, and the other, sometimes it does end up being the younger people. And in the case of the younger people, they're not looking at wanting to settle down necessarily anyway, settle down and have a government job that's very secure, but it doesn't necessarily provide them as much activity or excitement as they might want, and so they move on. We've gone through 3 new programmers that were all meant for web and mobile development in about 4 years. So it's been difficult.
All right, thank you, Ann. You can tell time is just about up, but I'm going to field one last question to the entire panel, or give each of them an opportunity to respond to this. I'm going to start with Michele. Michele, based on your experiences, your observations, what would you consider the absolute essential factors for success when approaching mobile end-to-end?
I would say keep it simple, or KISS. I'm from the business side, so we work very closely with our mobile developers, and we want to deploy applications that are easy to navigate. Not every web application is going to be conducive to a mobile application. We have some complicated applications on our website, such as change of address, that need a whole lot of information. So that's not going to be conducive to a mobile application. So as I said, we work very closely with our developers, the business side, where we kind of work hand in hand in design and creating those easy to use mobile applications.
Thank you, Michele. Ann.
I think we all need to, in government in general, even though we're in different levels of it, find better ways to market internally. So not mass media marketing, but marketing for your dollars, marketing for your funding, marketing for your people, for the direction that you need to go in order to change even the way you hire people, and focus, no matter what it is, whether it's the application that you're working on or whether it's some service that you're providing, make sure that it is aligned with the mission and goals of the organization. There, I got my MBA out on the table. So if you'll do that, and you'll think about that internal marketing, and it doesn't matter if you're in, Fortune 500 company or not, or if you're in government, you have to be able to sell what it is that you believe in, or what makes sense, or this is the way the world is going. And sometimes it takes work to actually get people to understand that.
Thank you, Ann. Scott, your thoughts?
Briefly, quickly, you've heard enough of me. Two things: know your target audience, know what you're shooting for. Who do you want to get this information out to? It's the same with any IT initiative. Look at social media. It's kind of the same dynamic. And look for, going back to marketing, mobile gallery, free. That's it.
All right, thank you. And Jay?
Oh, very quick, I just want to follow what Michele. It's keep simple. A lot of things we're trying to do, particularly mobile, outside is very mature, so don't try to reinvent the wheel. And there are a lot of free app and already existing module there. So every time try to do something new, you should keep thinking there already something out there. So keep simple.
All right, well, thank you. Any further questions or comments from the audience tonight?
We have some time, because there's nothing after this till like later, so.
I guess not. Well, I'd like to thank the distinguished panel today for, and to you, thank you again. Again, they're available for discussion or conversation after you break up here. Please take advantage of that, and thank you again for joining us here this afternoon.